Good afternoon. If you take your seats, we'll get going with the Creek Fire South Zone 1700 planning meeting for October 7th. I'm Rick Luke, Planning Section Chief for California Span Team 5, and we'll give you the current situation.
All right. All right, good afternoon, everybody. Don Faguglia, Planning Ops on the south zone of the Creek Fire. So let's start, as we always do, up here on the zone break, South Fork of the San Joaquin River. In the areas where the fire has crossed, it was not nearly as active today as it has been in days past. The lid was on today, a cloud deck. Not a ton of wind up there today, but that's not to say that the fire did not grow, but just not nearly as active as it has been in the past days. So small growth here where it's crossed the river at. Up farther, up here, looking good still, looking at the imagery, looking at the IR, it still continues to hold along the South Fork of the San Joaquin River. Down into VVR, Vermilion Valley Resort and the PAC station, fire's just about a half a mile from there right now. And so we will be looking this evening at some defensive firing on the 80 road back down into Vermilion Valley. It's the trickiest piece to do out there. Will require the most amount of horsepower to do it. And so they're going to get going on that because it's reached their trigger point. Down around the south end of this fire where it's progressing towards Florence Lake, it has now reached Ward Lake today. So that's a little bit of growth. A quarter to a half a mile maybe there that grew out of that finger. It's traveling with the terrain through the fuels out there and mostly doing not a whole lot of damage to the landscape. Moving along, this piece down here where it's slopped over the 80 road south of the High Sierra Guard Station, it's run into a big rock pile out there, and so we think we'll be successful. There's some direct edge that can be picked up on either flank of this, so some more to come on that in the coming days. Along here to the Division November Papa Break, this is the 05 road, Sample Meadows. That road they're getting right now, they just started firing. They got the last mile of it to fire to tie back into the fire's edge out here. So about a mile worth of firing to do tonight. We're swinging some crews to work until 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning to accomplish that mission. Down here into China Peak and Huntington Lake area, all looks good. Fairly quiet afternoon. Mop-up continues. Patrol. Shaver Lake calls for service all the way around the bottom. Suppression repairs in full swing down there. It is slowly moving through it, and we'll be out there for many weeks to come before they get this all buttoned up down there, even with the amount of resources that they have. So with that, that's the end of the report. Thanks.
Thank you, Don. Weather.
John Pendergrast, incident meteorologist. Well, we got those clouds as anticipated today, and that kind of tamped things down weather-wise out there with a slower lifting of the inversion and a slower lifting of the smoke as well, which kind of also affected the inversion lifting because of that laying in there. Got a little show for you here. This is what was producing those clouds for us, this upper-level feature, which was coming in towards the southern part of the state, central part, spreading the moisture and even some clouds overhead. The yellow dot is our approximate location there. Just showing the clouds streaming in with that system that's going to be ever so slowly meandering itself towards the coast over the next 24 hours. Next one, please. This is where we started out air quality-wise. Notice the difference between the coast and the inland areas with that smoke laying down. There's quite a lot of unhealthy air out there that started out today. These were the afternoon monitor sites, but notice across the coastal areas where that Pacific air is moving in, they have improved air quality, especially along the populated areas there along the California coast. So that's good news with the trend of that Pacific air starting to move in and starting to scour us out. Next, please. So this is the forecast for tomorrow, showing the position of that low now moving inland and starting to weaken. The good news is, of course, what we've been advertising over the last several days is the ridge aloft, which we've had in place for weeks on end, it seems, is finally going to be lifting out, and we're going to be seeing more seasonal temperatures and humidity because of that feature finally moving out. Next slide. Wanted to show this has been, of course, our big interest item over the past couple of days, talking about possible rain system moving in. And what I've got up here are a couple of deterministic model runs showing what it thinks is going to be the actual rain for this one event that's coming up. Not surprisingly, the models have trended backwards on what they were originally thinking were going to be some measured rainfall totals. And seems to be some agreement here amongst these deterministic models where approximate location is the yellow circle there. It's only showing about a tenth, perhaps, of inch of rain, which is right on the cusp of being considered a wetting rain for this area. So it only appears that perhaps a tenth or even less by the deterministic runs for this event that's coming for Saturday. Next slide, please. So even if we don't get any rain or any notable rain across the area, at least the loss of the high pressure overhead is going to allow us to get more towards seasonal temperatures and humidity. So going forward on the chart, we have one more dry day forecast for Wednesday, min humidity of about 18%, representative across the 5,000 foot elevation area across the fire. So certainly have a red day for humidity once again tomorrow. There are going to be some clouds laying in though, so kind of like today. And then good news for past midweek was starting to see a lot of greens on the color matrix here as far as temperature and humidity levels. Humidity recovery as well at night is going to be a little bit higher in general. And then by the time Saturday rolls around with the rain event, lots of green on the chart with that system, more moisture moving in. And then we're going to start drying out. Notice we're starting by Sunday to start seeing a return. After that departing system, we're going to see some northerlies, some drying out, humidity coming back down, starting a trend into next week where we're going to see high pressure reestablishing across the area. So we really only have that one rain event that's going to carry us through to the third week of October. And so that's about all we can look forward to as a significant weather change is what's this weekend. That's it.
Fire behavior.
Good evening, Jeff Shelton, Team 5 Fire Behavior. So looking at the trends, they are moving in the right direction for the humidity, which is the main thing that's allowing all of our fuels to be available and contribute to the fire spread. The number that I really look at for how robust it's going to be is that recovery number. We're going to be out of the single digits at night, and we're going to be approaching mid-30s up to 40% at night. With those numbers, the firing opportunities are going to be diminished a little bit, but they'll also be a little more controlled. So I think we could be potentially aggressive. But once we get into Thursday, the 70 or the RHs are going to be potentially in a place where we're going to have this consistent fire front as we do firing. The one thing, again, it sounds like a broken record, but until the fuels really get to soak in several days of this humidity, any alignment of slope and continuous fuels will just laugh at this humidity and roar right past it. Those fuels are going to be vulnerable until we get some true wetting rain. That being said, with this cloud deck on top of the smoke deck, the air is going to be fairly still, and there's not going to be a lot of ventilation going into the fire. The bad part about that is probably the aircraft use is going to be diminished to be able to take action on that. That's really all I have. It sounds like a broken record, but looking out, I think we have tomorrow and then into the daytime Thursday before the 1 hour stops connecting the log to log. The log to log will continue to go. The 1,000 hours will continue to burn. Any questions?
Thank you, Jeff. The management incident objectives are good to go. Thank you. Next, we have operational priorities and assignments.
Okay, afternoon. John Goss, Planning Ops trainee for the plan for the 24-hour operational period, October 7th and 8th. All right, division Mike. So a new division from previous plans. Yesterday was combined. For tomorrow's shift, we'll be able to pull it apart because we now have a qualified division. So division Mike's work assignments there, they'll be scouting that indirect line opportunity, hooking that back around to get back into San Joaquin River or closer. All the needs in this particular division are we've got our IHC crews back on the board for some needs there. There was some IHC crews that had timed out. We're losing 3 tomorrow, so IHCs are back on the needs list. Okay, moving over to Division November. Execute defensive firing as needed to defend those values at risk. That's Vermilion Valley Resort, High Sierra Pack Station, and a cluster of private cabins around the High Sierra Pack Station there. Also in this division, November, they're identifying areas for indirect line south and east of the 80 Kaiser Pass Road, that area where the fire slopped over the Kaiser Pass Road. And also they got a handful of folks that are preparing and then getting ready to implement that structure plan in right there at Florence Lake. There's a store there, and then in addition to the Muir Trail Ranch and Blaney Meadows there, which is a bit of a logistical challenge to get them back then that far because they're about 3 or 4 miles into the wilderness from Florence Lake. So we're looking at some options there, UTV, barge. We're looking at some options to get those firefighters back into Muir Trail Ranch and Blaney Meadows. So the needs, again, popped up, looking for 2 hotshot crews, again, as well in this particular division, and 2 more Type 3 engines for the soon-to-be more roads that we're trying to hold there, that Kaiser Pass Road. And some falling modules as well to make sure we keep those roads clear of hazards. Okay, going down to Division Papa. Still maintaining the presence down in the Huntington Lake area from Dalville out to China Peak Landing. Also still keeping an eye and making sure that the direct handling that was put in a couple days back up into the Potter Pass, Kaiser Wilderness area stays put. Then also this is the group that is getting ready to put the finishing touches on the prep from that Stump Springs intersection road back up to Kaiser Summit and then back down into the Huntington Lake area. In addition to also looking at some indirect handline opportunities to cut a little bit of that piece off there. Needs in this particular division, looking for 2 Type 3 engines, some middle management task force leaders, felling bosses, and 2 falling modules. All right, Division Romeo. Still back, keeping an eye on the back door there, securing edge to the extent necessary to prevent any further fire spread, and still working on those little areas that have a little bit of containment that we have not achieved yet in that particular part of the division. And this is where we're looking for 4 of the Type 208 crews. Okay, still have a night presence. The night November Papa Romeo. Their main goal there with the night group is, as Don alluded to there, is we are having really good luck at the evening, the swing shift, and those burning opportunities there. So the night shift will be responsible for executing and then holding that for the next morning. So looking at 2 IHC crews as well, and then a Type 3 engine for some needs, and a water tender. Okay, moving down the hill, going to branch 25 and 29. Collectively, the SU, Victor Whiskey, and X-Ray Zulu, all in similar states of containment there. And the addition was on Victor Whiskey. We put the pull and remove hose in as well. So we've got 2 divisions down there on that south side that are starting to pull equipment off the line there, get it back into camp and refurbished. No needs for these particular divisions. And then finally, our suppression repair group. The work assignments have not changed, still kind of focused in those particular areas around Shaver Lake, east of Shaver, south of Shaver, down in the Blue Canyon area, and then still doing the road work out there on Stump Springs Road. Got lots of equipment, heavy equipment, and then also some additional needs in that department as well. Worked a lot with ordering today to try to figure out how to get some of that specialized equipment coming in. So it looks like we're going to get a couple of fills on that. So that's some good news there. 2 excavators, a masticator, task force leaders, heavy equipment bosses, and falling modules, and a processor. I think we might have secured a processor. Okay, any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, John. Air operations.
Ray Ucha with Air Operations Updates. Smoke continues to be our biggest challenge. Neither the north or the south have been able to fly. We had air attack up in the morning. They were able to take a loop around the fire. It's too smoky. We tried throughout the day to send the Cobra, too smoky. And just about 15, 20 minutes ago, we finally got the K-Max that was parked down in the dam. It got fixed. They're up and they're moving across, so hopefully they'll be able to land at Auberry if they have not landed by now. No releases on aircraft. We continue to have the same amount of aircraft on both. They're both ready to go. We are rotating some of the crews now, so we're doing a little bit of shuffling around between the north and the south to ensure that all the positions are covered. And that will be the end of the report. Thanks.
Thank you. Safety.
Good evening, Brian Savage, Team 5 Safety, Safety Day Shift and Night Shift Plan. We'll have 4 safety officers working tomorrow. 3 will be on day shift, and we're moving 1 safety to night shift with the increased operations on night shift. That's all I have.
Communications.
Good afternoon, Communications, Ken Earl. The hub is on shut-eye. Finally, we were able to drive it up there and did radio testing on it. That was very good. Did a good face-to-face and did some good ground truthing through Sierra Uniform. They are having some difficulties. We had talked about moving the C-46 repeater from Fence Meadow. We're going to hold off on that until they make complete black line through their division, and then we'll be prepared to move that to Mount Morgan, rather. That's all I have. Thank you.
Medical.
Good evening, everybody. Jeff Carlin, Medical. Continue to support the day mission with the resources we have. We did get a fill last night on an EMT, so starting tonight, we now have an EMT out on for night shift. Other than that, the mission moves forward. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. So as usual, this time of evening, I'm looking for plant support. We'll start with logistics. Thank you. Finance. And the Reeds are out in the field. They support the plan. Information. Thank you. Agencies support the plan. Thank you. And liaison. Done. Thank you. Closing comments. Our incident commander, Rick Young.
So just real quick, pretty quiet day overall, but I did want to talk real quick. Tomorrow we start the transition, and this transition's aligning with a transition in the weather as well. So I just want to make sure everybody understands that this isn't time to let our foot off the gas. We're going to sprint across the finish line, which is 0600 Friday. So start planning for this transition in weather just as if we were going to be here, so that they're set up to keep running with it, because it is going to change things a bit. So we need to be thinking out ahead on what that looks like and prepare them for that. So with that, I thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you for supporting the plan. Okay, IIP components are due at 1900 hours, 0700 tomorrow morning. There's a ops briefing here, and followed up by a 1700 planning meeting tomorrow evening. Have a safe night. Thank you.